Hello, everybody! Hopefully, you can hear me and see me. I will check everything while I say that. Looks good from my end, at least. I hope you're well. I hope everyone's doing well on this fine Friday evening. Welcome to Fishy Business, number 5,733 or 104. One of the two. It's Friday night. Hope you all have a nice beverage and snack ready for this evening's entertainment. I say that as if I've prepared lots of things. I've prepared a quiz, so we're going to have a quiz tonight at 10 o'clock. An hour from now, if you're not in the UK. I have prepared a quiz. This is becoming more and more effort and work, so I hope you're enjoying the quiz. As always, it's Friday here, Friday night. I'm going to be enjoying some adult beverages. We're going to start off with this one. This is the Vocation Smash and Grab Double IPA. In a fetching purple can, I was saying on Discord earlier. Discord server up here for anyone that wants to join the Discord server. My method of choice thus far with all these weird beers has been, that's an interesting can. I'm starting to get a taste for a few, so I've definitely got some favourites. But we're going to go with this one tonight. To start off. It's hoppy, it's bold, and it's fruity. Can't say fairer than that. So I hope you're well. I've got a few announcements to make tonight. I have some updates, some shilling to do, and general fishy topics. So as a piece of admin, if you have any questions for me, more than happy to answer any and all questions, or dodge any and all questions if they're tricky. Put the word question in your question. It just helps me see it a little bit easier. And it also helps me clip it for future regurgitation on the second channel. Yes, we have a second channel. It's almost like I'm a proper YouTuber now. But this is because I have had, not requests as such, but lots of people saying, oh, have you got this as a podcast somewhere? Have you got this as just the quiz somewhere? Have you got this as just the question somewhere? Now, there's two ways to look at that. It could be people are fed up scrolling through 15 minutes of waffle at the start of every live stream, or 15 minutes of me going, or not even turning the stream on in some cases. I'm possibly the least professional live streamer in the world, so I get where you're coming from. So I've decided to start a second channel. It really needs your help, because if nobody subscribes to it, if I don't see anything going on, it's an awful lot of work just sitting and cutting up the 2-hour live stream into relevant bits. So far what I've done, I've taken, I think, all the ones from live stream 100 onwards, something like that, where I've cut it into the quiz, can be its own little clip. Any questions, so I'll try and collate all the questions together and to be another little clip, and just release them as individual videos that are like 5-10 minutes long, whatever it is. And then any, I don't know, if I go off on a rant about something, I might clip that up as one and put that out. So I will put in the chat the link to said second channel. That's not it. God, I've cocked it up already. I shall put in the chat in a minute the link to the second channel. We've got about 60 subscribers there, so it's good to go back to the old days where I've got almost no subscribers. So thank you to everyone who has joined up so far. But yeah, go over there, click on that link, sign up, join up. I don't know why I started doing an Irish accent. It must be because it's St. Paddy's Days. I couldn't find any Guinness to get for the stream. I didn't try very hard. I went to one shop and didn't have any. But I thought we could do a bit of a St. Patrick's Day themed. You might see some St. Patrick's Day themed questions in the quiz tonight. Who knows? So, let me know, what are you drinking tonight? What have you got for your tasty beverage and snack? What are you up to tonight or today, to anywhere you are in the world? While I sample this, it's nice and thick and hazy and looks a bit like an ice cream cone. I've decided this is my kind of, this look, this see-through, non-see-through look is my kind of thing. Where you kind of have to chew it, almost. Rather than like the pale ales or the dark stouts or the porters or anything like that, it's this kind of thing that seems to be the one that fits. Oh, that does not disappoint. That'll go on the spreadsheet. It's very nice. Anyway. I'll go back as far as I can in the chat and say hello to some people. Oh no, I've cocked that up as well. Sorry. Bear with me. Some admin to do here. See, this is why we have a clips channel, so I don't do this nonsense constantly. Set up the chat, set up the alerts. Put that there, paste that there, click OK there, click that button there, and a chat shows up. Yay! Silver Creek Aquatics, hello there, how are you doing? Snoochie Booch. Can't stay long, want to show support. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by anyway. And for all the emojis. And remember, more shelling, more admin. If you would join the channel, you get access to a whole bunch of new emojis. And one day, I might even put out extra content. I don't know if... That's the one thing I worry about, is putting out extra content for members only. Because I know, remember, that cost of living crisis, all this thing, all these kind of things going on. It feels a bit unfair to hold back just for the special few who join. But then again, I truly appreciate everyone who does join. So I need to find a happy medium there, because I just don't know what to do. But if you do join, you get some extra emojis. If you join as a hero member, you get money off at aquariumadventures.co.uk, and you get that warm fuzzy feeling knowing you're helping out a small creator with leggy bills to pay. I might see if we can give away another membership tonight. I think how that works is if you're active in chat, you might be in for winning. I don't know how. We'll press some buttons later and see what goes on. Anyway, Rocky says hello. Hans from Sweden. Hello Hans, how are you doing? Freshwater ichthyology has been busy marking undergraduate work, but my brain is melting. Well, the Friday nights are not the time for that kind of thing. Simon's in. Evening fish friends from a bit wet Preston. It's a bit wet Sheffield as well. It's been a little bit damp, but crucially quite mild today. I'm hopeful that when I check my energy monitors, the discus tank will have used a little bit less energy today, and this might be the turn of the corner. Coldwater Aquatics, hello there, how you doing? Stuart Licker says hello all, and Gordon. Hello Stuart, thank you for that. Simon says, first question of the day. If your cactus catfish is that annoying, maybe you should name him Clarkson. I would suggest a politician, but that would be cruel to the catfish. Yeah, well, I call him Cactus Jackass, is my colloquial name for him at the moment, but yeah. Maybe we'll think of something else. I mean, he's annoying in that he digs up 3 specific plants no matter where I put them. He seems to leave all the other plants alone, so maybe I just need to get rid of those 3 specific plants and use more of the other plants to fill it out. I don't know. He's not that annoying. I quite like him as a fish. He's a cool looking, almost dinosaur in the way that the markings, and almost like a textured finish. And he's a big old fish as well. It's a good 6, 7, 8, no, maybe not 8 inches. That's the manly thing to say. Oh, he's 12 inches long. No, he's a good 6 or 7 inches at least. So he's a decent size, a big old unit. And quite impressive when he spends quite a lot of the time out. He doesn't hide as much as you might think. Most plecos, in my experience, you spend hundreds of pounds on this amazing fish, and then you see it twice a year. This one's out quite a lot. He's got a couple of... I've given him a cave now, but he's also got a couple of specific spots that he likes to go in. So he goes in his cave, and there's 2 bits of wood that he seems to just fit nicely in, and he spends a lot of time there. But he spends a lot of time out looking around for food. I don't know if maybe I suppose he's one of the meat-eater plecos that they spend a lot more time out foraging for food, or I don't know. I'm enjoying it anyway. Silver Surfer says hello. Hello yourself. Mark's in. Nabokov is in. Hope everyone's well so far. It must be an early glitch. My countdown clock has stopped. I don't know what that means. Fish Vet's in. Hello there. Evening from a cool Edinburgh, says Ross. Well, it's a balmy Sheffield. I think we got up to the heady heights of 15 degrees today. Scott doing us proud. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way in or out if you can't stand this nonsense. Mark says hello. He's had a bit of a trim up. Well, after last week's video where I well and truly cocked that up. I released a video and chopped the last 5 minutes of it off. And I'm very appreciative of everyone that let me know. Thank you. That was good. But as I was re-editing it again, I was like, why didn't I notice this the first time? My hair was just like, I could tuck my eyebrows behind my ears. It was like, monster style. So I thought, best take care of this. So last weekend, get that in. It's all okay. Good. Yay, quiz. The quiz is going to be a regular thing for the next few weeks at least, as people seem to like it. I quite enjoy doing it because it gives me a few minutes of downtime where I don't have to think of any nonsense to say. I can just read out the questions that I wrote. And I quite enjoy putting the questions together, as much as it's hard to come up with them. I mean, I spent a good couple of hours putting this one together. 15 questions, and it took me a couple of hours. I must find an easier way to do that. And you can submit your questions. So if you join my Discord or use the email there, somebody has done this already. You might see one of your questions tonight. I'm not sure. But you can send me questions, whether it be fishy questions, whether it be off-topic questions. The quiz is always going to be a mixture of fishy questions, barely fishy questions, and not at all fishy questions. Maybe just topical questions. So there might be a few St. Patrick's Day ones tonight. People seem to be enjoying it. Well, let them know in chat. Give me a thumbs up or something if you are enjoying that. We'll have some kind of poll. I bet I have the ability to do such a thing. Start a poll. Yeah, there we go. I can do that. Ask a question. Right, move my beer out of the way so I don't spill it like last time. Do you like the quiz? Yes or no? There you go. Interactive. Anything Irish to drink tonight? No, like I say, I was planning on getting some Guinness, but I couldn't find any Guinness. Well, the only Guinness I could find was like a 12-pack or a 10-pack. And I was like, well, I like Guinness, but not that much. And I was a bit pressed for time, so I didn't have time to go to another shop. So I went... Oh, my balls. Oh, balls. Something's happened. We'll come to that in a minute. We went to Morrison's and stood in front of the weird beer fridge, as I like to call it. And you know, last week... So this is almost leading the way as my favourite beer. I really like this one. It's delicious. And last week I had that. And I was moaning how it cost £4. £4 for a can of beer. I remember going to the pub and not paying that for actual pints in a pub. They put it up. £4.50. What's that about? So, Mickey, I think that was a super chat. Came through from you. Thank you very much. That's gone towards buying me one beer. Cheers. But this one's very nice. So I should be telling you about these. This is part of the experience, isn't it? We've never been ones to play it safe and true, and this is no exception. Our East Coast style double IPA hits hard with heavy blasts of tropical fruit flavours, punchy aromas that are bound to make an impact. Fearless and it's beer. Fearless and irresistible. It's a drink. I'm gonna go and fight a war. There's nothing quite like it. Well, there's lots of things quite like it, but nevertheless, this is a very nice one. So this is the Vocation Smash and Grab Double IPA. So in terms of brands, the ones that I like so far, all the Heathen ones I've tried. So the Heathen Northern Monk, not Heathen, all the Northern Monk ones I've tried. Very nice. All the Salt ones that I've tried. Very nice. And I quite like at least 2 of the Vocation ones that I've tried. Welcome to Graham's Beer and Fish Chat. Zed Aquatic says hello. Happy Friday, fish fans. Rebecca says, I forgot I wanted to maybe send in a few... Well, see, I was actually looking towards you to send in some proper, actual fishy facts that we could put as quiz questions. So, DMs are open all week. Any questions you might have, send them in. Happy St. Paddy's Day, says Silver Creek. I mean, we're all a little bit I saw something earlier that I thought was quite funny. The saying is we're all a little bit Irish on St Patrick's Day, except for the Scottish. We're still Scottish. But yes, happy St Paddy's Day. I liked my various contributions to the second channel. In summary, solid points made, then I say something idiotic. The end. Well, yeah, you can be famous, because if you say something that makes me go off on a tangent or a rant or just generally talk gibberish for a while, that'll end up in one of the clips. To be fair, Graham, you've been holding back on the clips channel. I still haven't heard the epic version of the Punami incident. Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe one day. It takes... I don't want to be reminded of the Punami, so that's put me right off my drink. Thanks for that one. Aquarium Gimp Ventures is my new favourite YouTube. So, Brian, apologies for my Don't worry about it. It's all fine. Scott's currently on the black beer and honey wine. Is that two different drinks or an amalgamation? Very nice. Then I have a lavender honey drink. It doesn't say what kind of drink. And last but not least, a Guinness original. So if you make it all the way through to that, we'll be doing well. Kenny says hello. I shared my current collection of the beer. I shared my current beer collection on the beer section, that's hard to say, of Discord. Feel free to insert plug here, but I'm polishing off gallows of Franny Kenny. Oh, that meant to be gallons of Franny Kenny, and because you've made it through more than 1 gallon so far, you can't spell gallon. Let's have a quick look at the old Discordio. I don't know why I said it like that. OBS has disappeared. Why would OBS disappear? There you are. What did you go over there for? Oh, I've got a button for that actually. Little face. We've got a channel. So this is Discord. For those of you who don't know, memes is always good for a laugh.
Get down here.
Callum's kind of the king of memes. So I'm going to have a look at that. But we've got a channel for beer chat, which all of a sudden I cannot see. There we go. Beer suggestions. Wow. So Tits McGee is Fish Fit. I'm going to have to read this out. So these are the ones Scott's on tonight. I don't recognise any of them. 9%, 10%, 10%, 13%. God, I hope you're not going to plan and get through all of them tonight. Neon Raptor, bear with me. 16%. Jeez, that's like a strong wine. So there's lots of things to enjoy and avail yourself of on Discord. The Discord link is up here and probably in chat somewhere else. Running out of freeze-dried Tubifix, so I might need to order some other freeze-dried food as well next month. Well, I sell Tubifix of the freeze-dried variety, so, you know, if you do well tonight in the quiz and win, I'll include that in your prize bag. So there are prizes for the quiz. If you win the quiz and you're in the UK, I'll send you something eventually. Sometimes it takes me weeks to get these things together. But if you're not in, you get either kudos or you can nominate someone in the UK. But you have to tell me. So whoever won last week still hasn't been in contact to say, I won the quiz, send my stuff here. Cactus plecos are lovely, just drama fish. Plants are just background things. Yeah, or toys to eat, move, generally annoy your owner with. I love my prickly L numbers, even if I don't see them too often, but L273 is a highlight as it's out about yeah, I don't know. Is there something about specific species that make them want to hide more or not hide more, spend more time out and about? I don't know. I want a Pseudocanthicus. I must say these things more confidently. Pseudocanthicus, you say? Pseudocanthicus? Pseudocanthicus serratus is my favourite, the real goth fish. Right, let's have a look at that. Search Google. Ooh. Not that you can see that because I'm on the wrong screen like an idiot. That is a bit special, isn't it? Pseudocanthicus. Am I saying that right? That sounds like Pseudocanthicus serratus. That picture specifically. It does make it look hard as nails. It's like a Mad Max fish. But yeah, indicative of my cactus pleco, but for the obviously the colours and the patterns, that's what I meant by the texture. It's very rough and rugged and just looks hard, like you wouldn't want to meet it in a dark street. Let's put that back over there so I can see that. Update for anyone who saw my discus post. Gudgeon is back to his old ways of chasing the girl, so I'm glad he's okay. Very good. There we go, that was what I saw. I heard oh my balls. Thank you very much, Mickey, for the £5 super chat. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. We'll cheers to that and drink to that. That's really nice. Is this what mouthfeel is? That word that I hate. When you're like, it's not a drink, that's more of a soup. Yes, that's lovely. I have a 10-inch L600 waiting to arrive from the consolidators. Just need the shop to order more fish. I should be paying for wedding flowers or something. Yeah. Well, there's an argument to be made that get it all out now before you're not allowed to get it out anymore. It's like when I first moved out and got my own house, got my first flat, my uncle said to me, now's the time to get Sky. I was like, what? I'm skint, I can't afford Sky. No, you can't afford to go out anymore, so get Sky so you've got something to do while you're stuck at home. I think the quiz is really interactive. Everyone loves a good mixed quiz. Not all difficult. It's not all difficult. I mean, there's some... Hopefully tonight there'll be some obvious answers, some unknowable answers, so there's a little bit of guesswork there. So if you get lucky, you might win. Some real knowledge, you need to know something a little bit fishy. And some general knowledge type stuff. Diatom's best way to getting right. Sorry, hang on. Diatom's best way to getting right on my nerves. Water changes, lots of plants. 3 weeks old Dutch tank, so soil and ferts. 3 weeks old is not old, so I think you might be suffering from a little bit of new tank syndrome where you get hit by, especially if you've got a planted tank that's got lots of ferts and active substrates and things like that, you might be getting hit by just everything trying to find its balance. So everything's all over the place. You've got bacterial blooms, you've got excess nutrients, things are just in that settling down period. So time, I think that's the best way to get rid of them at that point. Time, let things settle so as you know what your normal state is in the tank. Obviously, if you do lots of water changes, if you're cleaning off leaves, rocks, whatever the diatoms are sticking to, that will actually get rid of them. But I would be tempted to just leave things for a good few weeks, doing normal water changes rather than lots of big water changes, because that kind of takes things and upsets it a little bit, just so as you let your tank find its own balance, and then you know, right, okay, it's phosphates, it's silicates, it's whatever it is that's in abundance, and you can deal with that thing rather than just going, throw everything at it and see what happens, because you'd just be doing that for ages. Oops, sorry, deleted something. But thank you for the question, Boost Bus. Let me know if that helps. Probably not. I think you find the entire UK stock of Guinness was sold at Cheltenham this week. Indeed, I think there was definitely Guinness shelves, but there was like 12 packs or 10 packs of Guinness left, and I was like, I'm not that fond of Guinness. I do quite like a Guinness. Guinness was my drink of choice whenever we used to go and give blood, like as a as a prelude to an outing. So a few folk from work would get together and we'd go and give blood, and then go to the pub straight afterwards and all drink Guinness, because we need to replenish our iron, and Guinness has got iron in it. But really it was just a way to have a cheap night out, because you had less blood and you got drunk easier or quicker. This is not advice. McEwan's is the best beer. The best beer, McEwan's is the best beer of all. Not. I almost bought McEwan's. They had like a McEwan's champion, I think it was. But McEwan's it gives me memories of, and I've never heard this term or seen this since I've been down in England, but people who would get a pint of heavy at the bar. Give us a pint of heavy with a dash, and that was always McEwan's. And it was disgusting. I know they made other drinks as well, but it just made me think of that. But I saw this bottle of McEwan's Champion, where I thought that looks a bit more upmarket than what I remember McEwan's being, and it said it had one things as well, so I was tempted to give it a go, but no, I didn't in the end. I went for one of these delicious ones. They don't last long in vases, and higher mortality still when thrown in a bouquet. So flowers over fish. Fish last longer sometimes. That's a good argument. I didn't realise it was St Patrick's Day till getting on the bus home, and some had the Irish hats. Yeah, some places go wild for St Patrick's Day, and some places just don't care. Just to clarify, some people, not buses, had Irish hats. Mickey's on the tee tonight. Oh, God. Surely you can have one for your almost national holiday, or I guess it's south of the border. Is Patrick's Day a whole of Ireland thing? This is showing my ignorance. Is it just an Irish thing, or is Northern Ireland included in St Patrick's Day? Or I don't know. I should know this. It's one drink. A brief summary: mead, rum, and stout. Apparently, aroma of roasted barley, subtle warmth of legendary spirit, and delicacy of mead's honey. That Scotch drink that we were talking about earlier. 14.5%. Night, Scott. Tea, exactly. My wife's favourite is Strongbow Raspberry Soup Dragon Cocktail. It's a head blower. It sounds horrific. David's in. Good night. Good evening, David. Night, David. Yeah, Pseudocanthicus is a fish you would not want to meet down a dark alley. Even the fry kill each other. Have you ever thought of wandering into rays? If by that do you mean, have I ever thought of like getting into rays? Or do you mean like wandering into lasers? No. Yes, definitely. It's on the cards. I just need my bank balance to recover, because rays are not the cheapest of things. And I'm not hugely experienced in the world of rays. So I'm more trying to let rays I've obviously been putting in Megatank. I'm trying to let Megatank just chill. I want to get a good few months behind my belt before I start going wild and throwing loads and loads of really expensive fish at Megatank. But yes, it's definitely on the cards. I'm very sad I can't drink along, says Nabokov fan. The goal is to get the tea done and coffee made in time for the quiz. Well, you've got approximately 30 minutes, so if you're just joining us tonight, how many people have we got here actually? I need to have a look at this. We've got about 50 people with 28 likes. Come on, folks. You can at least give us a like. The quiz will be starting in about 30 minutes. Oh, that's pissed someone off because they've just left. 49 people. Yeah, so we've got about 30 minutes for the quiz. I would say you can use that time to bone up, but you can't, because These are all questions I have made from my warped mind and Wikipedia and Googling. So, right answers might not even help you. I've lost the chat again. Come on, you can do it, chat. There you go. Question: do all of your rimless tanks have pads of some kind? Foam, rubber. Oh, I've just opened something. Hang on. Computer's about to die because I pressed the wrong button. Do all of your rimless tanks have pads of some kind? Foam, rubber mat, etc. What do you use? My rimless tanks. I don't know. Do you mean like the ones that aren't on the floating shelves? So like if you can't really see it over there. So that tank, the glass isn't the bottom. It's got like a little plastic thing it's a floating base, I think it's called. Do you mean that? If that is what you mean, I generally use. I bought like a job lot shipment of those garage floor mats, which are like a really dense PPI foam. So if you've seen videos from in the fish room, you've seen them on the walls, got them on the floor, got them under most of the tanks. I did get loads of polystyrene and loads of polystyrene from various projects, so I used that quite extensively for glass tanks. Important point for any newbies here, this is not a levelling thing, it's more to get rid of high points. So if you get like a little tiny grain of grit or something under a glass tank, it creates a massive pressure point, which over time can, even very small bits can create cracks and things like that. So it's to get rid of that. I'm not sure what you mean by rimless though. As neither is fish fed. Braceless? Or open top, do you mean? I don't know. Aquarium Adventures, did you send my prize out yet from my Ninja last minute win? I did. I have sent that, and you should have it today. I sent it on Wednesday. I sent it second class because I'm a cheapskate. But yeah, if that doesn't turn up soon, let me know. Something's gone wrong. Bottom equals glass panel, no rim. Brace for us is the top of the tank if tank is long. Yeah, a brace I would normally think is what holds the open part of the tank together. I've just never heard the term rimless before. Maybe it's an American thing. Because the rim is usually the edge of something rather than the bottom of something. I don't know. But we got there in the end. So let me just make sure I did actually answer that question. Do all of your rimless tanks have pads of some kind? Foam, rubber mat, etc.? Yeah, so either polystyrene, because I've got a lot of polystyrene, or I use those garage mats. You know the ones that you fit together like a jigsaw puzzle? They're really dense foam, but they make a good... Have I got any? No. But the ones that are on rims are fine. Rimless means it's missing the bottom. Is this something that I didn't know? Very well. Did you see the price of Guinness at Cheltenham? So Cheltenham, for my American friends, or I don't know, Indian, Canadian, wherever you're from, is a big race meet. So it's where posh people and uber chavs meet. I think it's quite unique in that world. And farmers, or like horsey types, all meet together and get absolutely wasted. Bet lots of money. £20 a pint for Guinness. Wow. They really know how to rinse you at places like that, don't they? Bubbling Fins UK. Hope you had a good week, everyone. Yeah, not a bad week, I suppose. I'm feeling dumb because I have a braceless and a normal tank, but neither are called rimless. I'd call it a floating base. So you know when you buy like an off-the-shelf tank, like I think that's a dual tank, and you get fluval tanks, and they come with that plastic bit on the bottom, and the tank sits on the plastic bit, and then the plastic bit sits on whatever surface you've got, your stand, your table, whatever. I get what you mean now. My mum was told to drink Guinness to replenish iron after childbirth. Yeah, it's a thing. It's not a good thing, but it is a thing. It is an advice. Guinness is medicinal. But regarding alcohol and health, my grandmother was given whiskey during childbirth for pain relief. Yeah, that's a thing. We get a day off in the north. Oh, right. So yes, it is a whole of Ireland thing. I can't read that next comment. I have to skip over that. Mark, hi there. Can you recommend a treatment for one of my discus that is just not growing and looking rather skinny? No, that is what we call a Ronnie. It's a universal truth that every batch of discus will have a Ronnie the runt, where you have, let's say, you have 8 fish from the same lineage, from the same breeder, from even the same batch of fry. One just will not grow. It will be perfectly healthy. If you separate it, it won't grow any faster. It's a universal law. It's like Murphy's Law, that if you drop a piece of toast, it will land butter side down. If you have a group of discus, one of them will not grow. There's certain things you can do, like making sure you're feeding. So a lot of the feeding advice for discus, I don't necessarily agree with. They say things like, feed enough that your discus will eat within 2 to 3 minutes, and doesn't hold true for me. I can feed my discus, and 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, they'll still be grazing around looking for the food. So you might get some success by power feeding, and I mean, it's something you have to do with a little bit of care. So it's not just dump in a load of extra food to feed 10 times more than you would normally, and away you go. You do throw in extra food or highly nutritious food or things that you might feed as treats. So lots of frozen foods, live worms, things like that, as well as your dry or your normal dietary requirements, or whatever you normally feed your fish. Throw in extra, but you kind of have to keep an eye on it, and if it hasn't been eaten in like 30 minutes or an hour tops, you have to go and get it out, because it's going to start to foul the water after that. Sometimes if you can put in an abundance of food, if it is just an availability thing, that gives the smaller fish a little bit more of a chance to get some of the food. But in my experience, the Ronnie, the runts, they get just as much food as all the other ones. They're generally just as boisterous. It's not like they're getting bullied out of it. They just don't grow, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. If it is a fish that is getting bullied, if it's getting picked on, generally that's how you get the runt, is because that's the one that got bullied early on, and then it's like a kind of cumulative effect and a knock-on effect of it never quite getting as much as all the other fish, and therefore doesn't grow. So that's generally why it happens. But it grows out of it and gets a bit bigger, but it's always behind, so it just always looks a bit smaller than the other ones. Now, if it's getting to the point where that fish is getting sick, yes, separate it. Look to do all those other things like power feeding and all that kind of stuff. But try the power feeding just ahead of it getting actually sick, just to see if it does bulk up a little bit. So if you're saying it looks a little bit skinny, that might be worth a try. So hopefully that'll help. It's heavily celebrated in the US. I think it's St. Paddy's Day we're talking about again. I think it's celebrated more in America than it is in Ireland even. Maybe more context is needed, Mark, so Discord might be better. Yeah, pictures, videos, always way more useful than trying to get something like that done from an idiot with a beer in his hand. Lovely though. My summary point is that glass shouldn't be resting on any solid surface without some kind of cushion. Quite right. Humble Crumble says, "Hi mate, hello yourself." Repeat it with the word question. Just slow, sorry. But yes, if you stick the word question, it does flash up. Right, okay, let's see if we can Get a little bit further down. See, even Gordon's confused with the idea of rimless. The rim is the top to me. That's the rim of the tank. It's different localities call things different things. Like, for instance, this confuses the hell out of me all the time. What size is your fish tank? 120. What? What does that mean? It's 120 gallons. Yeah, but how big is it? It's a 120. It's a standard size. Is it? And I'm not saying that just to pick on you. The idea of asking how big a tank is or how long a tank is and being answered with the volume of the tank. So I'm like, they're two different things. But I guess in America you have, and I've come to learn, you have standard size at 120 is 4x2x2. A 75 is whatever. Whereas I can have a 5 foot tank that's 5 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, or 5 foot by 18 inches by 27 inches. Or, I don't know. You know what I mean. Anyway, my 120 gal with 20 gal sump cost $23 US per month. What? Are you renting an aquarium? Or is that your running costs? Okay, come on, Graham, get out the picture. Costing me $23 per month. Worth it to me. My Nicrew light is 40 watts versus the Flu valve you reviewed uses 35. I think I'm pretty much optimized. Yeah. Okay. The Flu valve uses 33 watts, but you know, what's 7 watts between friends? $23 per month. Is that good or is that bad? I mean, I always try and bring it back to if I had another hobby. If I was playing golf, I'd be paying green fees, I'd be paying new clubs every couple of years, I'd be paying for balls, drinks at the clubhouse. It's way more easy to justify my fish keeping hobby when I put it against something else that I don't do. I should say this quietly, but I kind of enjoy golf. I'd quite like to play golf. I just don't have any time to play golf. So while I'm not playing golf, while I'm not spending a couple of grand a year on golf clubs and golf green fees and all that kind of stuff, it's a little bit more justifiable. But it's just really irksome when your hobby cost X just a couple of years ago and you haven't really changed that much. Now it costs Y, which is a multiple of X by several factors. All because of, I'm fed up saying the cost of living crisis, the energy crisis, all these kind of things. But yes, you've brought me on to a good point. I am now, officially, I noticed when I was making, so for those of you who have just joined, I have a second channel. Can I still put it in there? Nope. I have a second channel which you can find by, I don't know, how can you find it? Come on, Graham, get yourself together. I've lost all my links. Right, I promise I'm going somewhere with this. I have a second channel which I have just posted a link to in the chat, which is all about my live streams. And as I was going through my live streams, I was talking about in the fish room one day during the live stream, I was saying I'm getting all these weird sponsorship requests. People wanted me to make videos about dog dresses or weird anime iPhone 13 cases and all that. I'm like, where's Fluval? Why are they not getting in contact with me? Bloody hell, they were listening. So your man at Fluval reached out to me and said, hello, I really like your channel. And yeah, a lot of them start that way. And usually you go, okay, what do you like about it? What's your favourite video? But you launch straight in saying, oh yeah, it's great that you've got this, that and that going on. Brilliant. We'd be really interested in working with you. We like the fact that you're consistent and have a level of professionalism. And I was a bit like that. Have you seen my live streams? But I thought, have they been watching my live streams where I was, because I did not reach out to Fluval, they reached out to me. Because I literally said, why am I getting this crap for sponsorships? Where's Fluval? I want some good stuff. And I've always been a bit of a Fluval fanboy. So it was a good call, a good, easy decision for me to make. But I wonder, can I show you the email? Is that going to be privileged in some way? But I have had the bigger, so Fluval's one of the bigger brands in the aquarium space, and I have had some of the other bigger brands reach out to me before and say, can we send you some stuff? And it might lead on to something else, but let's start small and we'll send you some stuff. You review it and do a review for us. And what they're really saying there is, we want to send you stuff and we want you to say it's amazing. That's it. We want to review your video before you post it. We want to have right of refusal and rejection and all these other things. So I got back to them and said, more than happy to work with you. I do actually like your brand. I've used it for some time and I've recommended it before in the past as well. But I have to insist, you don't have any say over the content. I get to review it completely without interference. If I don't like something, I'm going to say I don't like it. And I have some things I've discovered I don't like about this, which I probably should have put in a video, but I was in such a rush to get the video out. Now that I've used it for a few days, I'm a bit like, but he came straight back and said, yep, no, it works for us too. I think it's better that if you have problems, you let everybody know and we can work on things. The only thing that they asked for was they get a chance to make corrections. So if I say something just false, they can ask me to correct it, which I think is fair enough. So that was great. Then they even offered to say, look, if you're doing giveaways on your channel, we're happy to sponsor them and send some prizes out to give to your community. What if we sent you everything to build a complete tank? So tank, substrate, filter, lights, all that kind of stuff. Anything else you're interested in? And they gave quite a few ideas, and I always feel like, oh God, don't want to be greedy, I don't want to scare them off. So I had said to them, look, I've been swithering for weeks and weeks about lights for my discus tank, so if you've got any ideas, yep, no problem. And like a day later, bosh, this arrived. I mean, in terms of a review, it's not the easiest review to do because this is a light that's been out for donkeys. I think there's even a newer version of this. I think there's a 2.0 of this, but still, I think if you look up on Amazon, it's like 130 quid, 120 quid, something like that. It's not a cheap piece of equipment. And as you will have seen if you watched my last video, it kicks the ass off my old lights at a fifth of the power consumption. And as you know, I'm quite into my power consumption these days. So I'm really happy with that. I'm hoping that this becomes a bit more of a regular thing. I'm not going to stand for any sellouts cries, because I'm not going to be a sellout. If I do get more things to review and I don't like them, I will say them, but generally I liked almost everything about that. The only thing I found that I didn't like is the fact that it's Bluetooth rather than Wi-Fi. I get it because it keeps the cost down, but one of the things that I was trying to do was with the app, where is my phone? I bet you it doesn't even work up here. So with the app being Bluetooth, when you're too far away, because Bluetooth rather than Wi-Fi has a limited field for connectivity and things like that. Where have I put it? So I don't know whether you'll be able to see this or not. So I have Discus tank set up, and I have one of these tanks on. My daughter's tank has that light on it as well, or a smaller version of it. But I get this. Can't connect. It's literally 20 feet away. It's just downstairs. So when I've been out and about, so I took my daughter to her gymnastics class the other night and I went to pick her up and had 15 minutes spare. I thought, I know, I'll sit and I'll do my automatic schedule for the lights, because there's loads of configurability. That's not the word I was going for, but it'll do. You can add up to 10 different timestamps for actions, so you can do all the different colours at different times. I thought, yeah, I'll sit in the car and I'll do that for 10 minutes, but if you can't connect to it, it doesn't let you do anything. So the only way you can set your schedules if you're sat right next to the tank. So I wish it had some kind of offline mode. That's the only thing I've found so far that's a little bit it's not brilliant. I wish it had a little bit, unless there's some way that I've just not figured out how to do it. But apparently if you have a power cut as well, all the timers reset, which I haven't had a power cut, so I haven't noticed that, but it's a thing. But yes, in general, there's going to be, hopefully, unless they really didn't like the video that I sent the other day, there's going to be more Fluval products appearing on the channel. I quite like the idea of setting up a tank from scratch. I quite like the idea of trying out some other filters, because I've always liked Fluval filters. I know other people have their preferences, and people like Eheim or Oasi or all these other ones, and I'm not saying it. Everything else is trash now that Fluval have thrown me a bone. I've generally liked their foods. I've generally liked their equipment. It's been keenly priced, so I think it's good for me. It works for me. So I hope long may it continue, and we get some prizes that I can give out. Who knows? Maybe in a few weeks' time, the winner of the prize will get a new FX2 filter or something along those lines. But anyway, I digress. So that was my other bit of big news. We're now starting to get some actual fishy related sponsors on the channel, so yay. M. Libo, remember, if you've got a question, type the word question and I see it as a question, but I caught that one. Oh god, I'm miles behind. Miles. Right, sorry. How do the Congos do with the discus? I like Congos, but I feel they would eat a lot faster. I have about 20 cardinals in my discus tank. Congos are fine. They do eat faster, but there's plenty for the discus. They're, as companion fish, they do really well. Very happy with it. Sent a large second-class letter and it didn't turn up 2 weeks later. Ugh. Well, I sent out 2 other orders at the same time, so I will check with the other people to see if they've got theirs. When is Monster Tank becoming a discus tank? Maybe in the summer, but only for the summer. I'd love to see the sump you built. I did make a video on the sump I built. How many gallons is the sump? I don't know. I can't remember. I use a yoga mat. Yeah, yoga mats are really good. Rantic Ray, my wife managed to see your discus tank in video as I was watching it. Now she loves the look of discus. That is because they are the best fish. They're just the most expensive fish. What do I do? You don't do anything. You get discus. That's what you do. Surely that's not even a question. I was horsey, and I've never been to the horse races. I think show jumping and dressage is more affordable and classy. Well, my wife is horsey. Had a horse when she was younger, and she does like when dressage and all that. I almost said a naughty word there. When all that horse dancing crap comes on the Olympics, she's like, "Oh yeah, we'll watch this." And I'm like, the horse is doing all the work. What's that person? They're just sitting on top of it. They're hanging on. Why are they getting a medal? The horse should get the medal. But anyway, yes, I know what you mean, and I've been to a couple of like the Burley. It's not show jumping. It's not dressage. It's the other one where they go around a field. So I went with my wife and all her family, and it was a bit like, I imagine it was to me what me taking her to Silverstone for the Formula One was like for her, where I was going, oh, and she's kind of going, what? And it was me stood at all these fences as the horse just jumped over, and everyone going, ooh, and I'm going, it's a horse. Horses jump over things. Why? Okay, I just didn't get it. But yes, I do appreciate that there's different types of horsey people. The horsey people that are into racing are very different to the horsey people who are into like eventing. That's the word I was going for. I think a rimless tank is just glass with no bracing anywhere. Yes, it is. Isn't rimless the aquascaping aquariums? I have heard it talked about like that, but rimless as in no lid, or rimless open top tanks in the saltwater world, maybe. Right, I'm going to try and skip down a wee bit. And see if there's any questions. Thank you so much for answering my question. See, because you used the word question, it showed up. The discus could be a runt, but I've also found they all grow at different rates. I've had them not grow for months, and then in a matter of weeks, he has a growing spurt. I have seen that as well. But generally, unless it is an actual illness or an actual problem, there's always one that's just a bit smaller than the rest. My friend wanted to build a media wall with fancy TV cabinet with Xbox and wanted fish tank within it. I asked where he was going to put the filter in the pump. He just gave me a blank stare. Oh, yes. Growth inhibiting toxins in discus fish. Jack Watley discus. It might be what you're dealing with, but I figured it's worth a share. Yeah, I'm not sure if I believe any of that, to be honest. Because if it was growth inhibiting toxins, so there used to be a thing that people would say, oh, you can't mix big discus and little discus because they'll give off hormones that will stop the small discus growing. If that was the case, then all the small discus would stop growing. So why is it just one? And I've had big fish. I've even had big fish who have been mixed with small fish from birth. So, but even when I was breeding discus, and you run out of tanks eventually, so you end up having to mix loads. Oh, light switch. You end up having to mix loads of different fish. And if you had some big fish and they were releasing some kind of toxins into the tank that were inhibiting growth, it wouldn't be selecting one fish. It would be selecting all the small fish. But I don't know. I think there's more to it. Craig's Catfish Cave says hello. Right, we're about a minute away from doing the quiz. Oh, we've got some more questions. I'll try and race through these ones. I love the look of sand, says Ryan, but I struggle to keep it clean properly. Any advice? I will try and find it for you after the quiz, but I do have a video on my patented wafting technique. So if you are familiar with the gravel cleaners and things like that, where you dunk the gravel cleaner into your gravel and it sucks up all the gunk from your gravel, basically, but doesn't suck up the gravel. Sand obviously doesn't work like that, so if you can get something like a gravel cleaner, but with a kind of wider end and just kind of waft it over the sand, that's usually enough to just pick up the detritus and suck that up and keep your sand clean. Other than that, things like power heads or wave makers that you can point strategically at the visible areas of sand so as it keeps them clean and starts pushing all the stuff towards your overflows and your filters. Some bottom dwelling fish that will keep the surface not clean, but they'll move things around so as it helps get things into there. That's generally a good way to go it. Question, did you notice this in the question? Question, when you grow plants out of an aquarium, do you need an aquarium light and a light above for the plant? For example, mangrove or monstera. They need light like any other plant, but it doesn't necessarily need to be an aquarium light. Things like monstera, mangroves are a little bit different. Pothos, anything that you grow on top of your tank, they just need light like any other plant will. I can't wait until Monster Tank becomes discus. It's never going to happen. There's too many discus for nothing else. Question, what do you feed Cory fry? I've had some Cory fry that I've just hatched. that I found in a tank where I took some plants out of my quarry tank and put them in another tank just to clear some space, and noticed dozens of little buggers. Not dozens, there was about 5. I feed them I keep a tub of food where when things get to the bottom of the packet or the end of the packet, I put them in there and I just give it a proper old shake. I think I made a video on my favourite fry food, and it just creates dust, and I use that for all my fry when they're that small. Right, are we about ready? Oh, another question. I have sand, I just siphon it. That's what I do. Get the crap on the surface and do a deep clean after a week. Quite right, quite right. Gold Kitty08 with the super chat. Thank you very much. Right, are we ready? I'm going to try and do this proper professionally because I'm going to clip it. What's going to happen is I'm going to do a small face. I'm going to move that screen over so you can see it. We're going to share, play a live group competition. I want to... No, I've done it wrong. Cancel. Play live group competition. I want to host only. Right, I'm going to share a link in chat down below. If you click on that link, you can join the lobby. So you see the lobby here in the middle of the screen. You can join in, and once we get a good number of players in there, we will kick off with the competition. Graham, well, you were close. One E away, an E on the end of that, and you got it bang on. You know you want a monster tank to build my discus tank. It would be amazing. It would be amazing, but it'd also be ridiculously expensive. Think how many discus... I'd have to get like a discus breeding project, and that's not... Where's all my beer gone? I'm sure... I'm going to try next the Siren, because I don't think I've had this one before. Yuska Nipa. New England IPA, I think that stands for. I'm going to try this one next. I'm kind of... I'm not sure... I'm probably going to revamp my fish room in some way. And I'm not sure whether I want to go for a bunch of display tanks. So fewer tanks, but set up as display tanks. With maybe a few breeding projects. Or if I want to go into giving discus breeding another go properly. Because I did alright at it. I got fairly good yields. And if I'm breeding my own discus, then once the snakehead and any other fish that I decide to put in there leave this earth, yeah, maybe having a discus tank with 500 discus in it might be cool, assuming the energy costs come down again. Who knows? Who knows? New England IPA, juicy and hazy. Well, what does it say on the tin? It's a tropical, hoppy festival in a can. I'll take that. Yeah, all the things I quite like. Bit stinky. Alright, we've got 17 players so far. It's alright. It's alright. So, right, let me get rid of the comments. Last couple of minutes, get your chance to get in and we'll do the quiz. If you get anywhere near 200 points, there's 15 questions tonight, anywhere near 200 points we'll be doing well. But, drum roll please. Welcome to the Aquarium Adventures Friday night quiz. What we've got here is a mixture of topics. We've got some fishy questions, some barely fishy questions, and some general knowledge questions. You get 30 seconds to answer every question. The link is in the description, or in the chat rather. You can play along. If you answer quickly, you get more points. You obviously have to be right to get the most points. And caveat that I have researched the majority of these questions, so it's not necessarily what's right, it's what I know about. So anyway, with that said, we'll get ready to play. And 3, 2, 1, start. We've got 19 players. So question 1, how many species of cichlid, or cichlid if you pronounce it like that, are there estimated to have been recorded? Obviously this is a moving target. This is what my research today said the answer was. So while you all answer these questions, I will sip this delicious amber nectar. And the answer is, according to the website I found, 1600. Question 2, what is St. Patrick's Day? Is it the day he was born? Is it the day he died? Is it the day he was canonised? Or is it just a random day? As you can see, we're theming some questions on St. Patrick's Day today. Remember, the faster you answer, the more points you get. Scott's in the lead, taking an early lead after 2 questions. Bum, 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 bum. It is the day he died. He was never actually canonised, because it was before that was a thing. Which aquascaping style centres around rock placement? Is it nature style? Is it Iwagumi? Is it Dutch? Or is it Nakatomi? Bonus points if you know what Nakatomi is. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. That's giving it away that it's not that one. It is, of course, Iwagumi. This is the least fishy question I could think of. Name this country. So you've got an outline of a country there. Which country is it? Is it Spain? Is it Poland? Is it Romania? Or is it France? It's definitely one of those. I tested this on my wife and she couldn't guess. Nakatomi Plaza, Die Hard, quite right. Well done, Silver Creek. That is, of course, Spain, España. What is the common name for L018? That is not a picture of it. Is it the Sunshine Pleco, Clown Pleco, Magnum Pleco, or Golden Nugget Pleco? What is the common name for L018? And I can't decide whether the L numbering system is brilliant or ridiculous. There are several. Well, I'll tell you about that in a minute. The answer, of course, is the Gold Nugget Pleco, but there's like L81's Gold Nugget as well, and loads of different ones are all. That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. I'll need to get Rebecca to explain it to me one day. What did St. Patrick rid Ireland of? I know Rebecca will know this one. Was it snakes, fish, the English, or zebras? Or zebras? The actual answer is none of them. But he's famous for getting rid of one of them. It is, of course, snakes, although there's a lot of research to say there weren't any snakes to get rid of in the first place. Which of these is not, I repeat, not a common name for a strain of discus? Penang Eruption, Reflection D, Blue Scorpion, or Crichton Select? Which is not a strain of discus. That's not to say that someone won't name a strain of discus after the one that I'm saying it isn't. Because that's literally all you have to do. Go, oh, this is a blue-faced spotty bugger. It's Crichton Select, which is actually a brand of discus, as in the discus you throw. A tightly packed group of fish swimming synchronously is called a shoal, an aggregation, a school, or a shimmer. I thought this would test a few people because it's one of those things you're like, oh, is it which one is it? Oh, I'm not sure. But I verified this on 3 different websites, so I'm pretty sure it's a school. A shoal is when they're loosely together, a school is when they're tightly together. Until recently, what ingredient was added to Guinness to give it its distinctive dark colour? Fish scales, fish livers, fish eggs, or fish eyes? Again, with the St. Paddy's leanings. Scales, livers, eggs, or eyes? It is, of course, livers. That was a viewer-submitted question. Most fish in the Characadidae, that family, originate from A, Asia, B, Europe, C, India, or D, Americas. Or it should be the Americas. Characadidae. I went on about 5 different websites to get the pronunciation of that and got 5 different pronunciations. I don't know how to say that. But the answer, in case you're wondering, is the Americas. Mostly South America, but you know. In the film Titanic, which was set on water, where fish live, so, you know, relevant, what was Jack's surname? Was it Johnson, Kelly, Dawson, or DiCaprio? In the film Titanic, what was Jack's surname? Johnson, Kelly, Dawson, or DiCaprio? I'm counting this as a fishy question. Carasidae. Thank you. It was Dawson. Which of these fish is not a chichlid? Or a cichlid, if you're going to be a stickler for pronunciations. Discus, Apistogramma, Geophagus, or Praecox rainbowfish. My God, Scott is already over 200 points. In second place we have A catfish. The silveriest Tootin is third with 179, so there's still time to catch up in the last couple of questions if we get a run on it. Obviously, it was Praecox rainbowfish for that question. Aquascaping is generally thought to have originated in which country? Japan, China, Netherlands, or USA? Who farted, making an appearance on the bottom of the leaderboard? Pardon me. Aquascaping is generally thought, when I say questions you see generally thought, is Graham's not sure about this one, to have originated in which country? The answer is Netherlands. So popularised in Japan, but started in the Netherlands. An aquarium maintaining a salinity between traditional fresh and saltwater values is called blackwater, submarine, sorry, I shouldn't laugh, brackish, or brown water. Blackwater, submarine, brackish, or brown water. We now have 3 players over 200. That's a new record. The answer is brackish. What do leprechauns make? Last question. This is your last chance to make a move on Scott. Do they make hats, vests, shoes, or jackets? You have to suspend belief for a minute and assume leprechauns are real. So other than pots of gold hoarders, what do they make? Hats, vests, shoes, or jackets? They make shoes. It's me shoes. Well done, everybody. Well done, everybody. Especially Shadow. Scott, you have won again. Well done, Scott. In second place, we have a catfish with 230. Oh, that was close. That was close. You nearly caught up. Silverius Tootin in third place. Ryan, 205. Jack, 190. Nabokov, 188. These are all... Previously, these would have been winning scores. 498242 with 180. God, these are all good scores. Or maybe my question was too easy. I don't know. If you see yourself on there, you've done well. all the way down to Clark's Mini Fish Rooms with 92 points, and then Jake and Scott, who obviously it broke for. I apologise that you couldn't get in properly. But congratulations to Scott. Quiz done. Hopefully that was enjoyable to all. And now you can hit me with a barrage of, that's not how you say that. That's not the right answer to that. But it is what it is. End of quiz. And if we look at the poll, 78% of people think that the quiz is fun. So we'll keep that going for a while. Scott says, I even screwed up a couple of those. I slipped up on this Shoal school question especially. A lot were guesses and I'm terrible with countries. So next time, more countries and more guessing answers. So is that about a good mix of fishy to non-fishy questions? But like I say, up here, Graham at Aquarium Adventures, you can email me, go on the Discord, send me a DM. Any questions you can think of, because the fishy ones are the ones that I find hardest to. I don't know. I don't know where to pitch them at. It's not like, what is this fish? How many fish are there in the world? What does a fish have? Fins or feet? So anything that you can submit will always be helpful. I'd argue that Japan was the answer, not Netherlands. Well, I would have answered Japan, I must admit, but when I verified this on 2 websites, not 3 like the other one, it seems like Netherlands was where what we would call a Dutch aquascape was something that was common way before anything took off in Japan with your iwagamis and the more elaborate aquascapes. It just seems that they were first, and then Japan popularised it a bit more. Japan, I think, changed the game, maybe, yes, rather than inventing it. Siamese Fighter 2020 says, what should I put in my 15-gallon tank? Well, surely the name gives it away. I go for a fighter. A betta fish, Siamese fighting fish, as they used to be called. That'd be a good, or I've got a hankering for both dwarf rainbow fish. So I've got some dwarf rainbow fish which are really, really pretty, which in a heavily planted dark tank would look really good. Or some celestial pearl danios. That might look good. The pressure to hurry is real. Yeah. Also, fish livers. That was the submitted question. I had to look that up. Guinness themselves say they no longer use. Bear with me a second while I tell my dog to shut up. Oi! What's the problem? Guinness themselves say they used fish guts for a while. But back, I think it was 2015, 2016, something like that, that they moved to a more vegan-friendly recipe. Right, lots of love for the Japan question. Google it. Potential questions with references, would you rather them on Discord or Facebook? Either's fine. I create a little folder full of all my potential questions. I'm quite often driving the kids to school and going, oh, that'd be a good question. Like, I wanted to do a load of questions on L numbers and plecos, and it just confused the hell out of me, the whole L number. Because L numbers, it's even described as a pseudo-scientific system. So you're like, pfft. So, and again, I'm probably butchering this, but if you don't know about the L number system was brought in by, I think, a bunch of German people or German organisation, so you could go out and find a fish, find a pleco somewhere, and go, this is cool, I've not seen this before. I'm going to call you L76, and then you could say, this is L76, and then someone would actually go and do the proper describing of the fish, and once it got properly described, it would get a scientific name, and then at that point, the scientific name was meant to stick, and you stopped using the L number. But if you look through the list of L number fishes, there's like the same scientific name used for a dozen different L number fish, which are, to the eye, very different. So you're like, what's going on? Why are you what? So you have a bunch of people who just use the L numbers, you have a bunch of people who just use the scientific name, and you have a bunch of people who just use the common names. And they can all be talking about the same fish and using completely different references for each of them. So I went down a bit of a rabbit hole with this one this afternoon, looking at L numbers, looking at why we use L numbers, who doesn't, who does, and what the problems are, and wasted a good 45 minutes of my life, and I'm none the wiser. I know it was well before his time. Takeshi Amano is the master of yeah, so there's the question was who was the first, not who popularised it or who was the best. It's who was the first. I knew the Fishy beer one. I've been on many a brewery trip. Pardon me. Japan is brilliant at perfectionism, not just at being neat and organised, but chaos. They have art in the chaos. Yeah. I think that's a really poetic way to put it. Yeah, I like that. Mickey's off to bed. 6:30 start. Oh, dear me. Thank you for joining us, Mickey. Hope you enjoyed the quiz. I didn't see your name. Oh, yes, I did. 168 points. That's not bad. That's respectable. I thought most beer was fish swim bladders. Yes, swim bladders was mentioned quite a lot. I think we've created the monster of what? What am I drinking? Fish bladders. Yeah, something about fish bladders have some kind of reactive chemical, or I'm not sure what it is, but it's meant to help with. It's not a taste thing. It's like a silkiness or a clarity or a. It's meant to make it more palatable, I guess is the word, but I'm not sure how to describe it best. There you go. I should just... Why am I doing this? You should be doing this. You know all the answers. Proteins in the bladders improve the clarity as a flocculant. There's a word that I haven't heard before. What's a flocculant when it's at home? Searches Google for flocculant. Having or resembling tufts or wools, having a loosely clumped texture. There you go. I got Spain wrong. I play medieval all the time. It's interesting how similar Spain looked at all the other countries that I picked. So if you were a proper cartographer, that would have been an easy one for you. But European countries, when you see them on their own, because I went through a load there going, oh, well, can you tell this is Portugal? Or can you tell this is Italy? Obviously, is very easy. But Spain, Portugal, Ukraine, even all Poland, all those ones, they all look very, very similar. Right, so we're moving on to Heathen by Northern Monk, which is my current favourite. It's the hazy IPA. This is the £4.50 beer now. God, you could get like a 6-pack of this. It'd be cheaper getting a bottle of whiskey. I might have to write to them to complain, saying, I really like your beer, but it's far too expensive. Please sort this out for me. I'm sure that'll go down well. But look at that. So that's similar to that first one in look, in that it's nice and thick and definitely not see-through. Looks good though. So, for those of you who are following along in Discord and trying to educate me on beer, this is the kind of thing I like. So, when you make suggestions for me, things that follow along this kind of general premise. That L number 1 was a pig. It threw me right off with the picture, but as soon as I realised none of the descriptions were the picture, I took a guess and got it right. Like, yeah, I've learned my lesson. Not going to give you two easy ones. L numbers aren't scientific. Yes, they're described as pseudo-scientific, aren't they? Most scientists got rid of it. The descriptions are really vague. They cause a lot of issues. In my opinion, words would be better. Yes. Especially as... And it was really... The reason I picked the Gold Nugget is because it's called both L18 and L81. Well, you're even using the same numbers, but backwards. That's just designed to confuse people who have dyspraxia or dyslexia. Note to self, learn how to read a question. Yeah, because if you wait for me to read out the question, somebody's going to get in there ahead of you. A lot of what we think of as Japanese started... Yes, so Japan is good at lots of things, and they have taken lots of ideas from other places. Bonsai is originally Chinese, exactly. And they perfect a lot of the... especially artsy things. I took a complete stab in the dark with that one, got it wrong. I was thinking Spain was the boot, and then remember that was it. Oh, maybe I should have gone with Italy. Oh, that's nice. I knew the question was who invented it, but because of Takeshi Amano, I thought it was Japan. No, it was... If the question was who made it good and popular, then Takeshi Amano. I'm going to now go and consult my aquascape. I've got an aquascaping book. I didn't even look at it. I'm sure there's something in here about the origins of aquascaping. This is the aquascaping book by George Farmer. Signed and dedicated to me. To Graham, aka Aquarium Adventures. May this book help you on your aquascaping journey. Keep on scaping. George Farmer. That was nice. I'm just looking for something about the history of aquascaping. How to get started, lighting, filtration, feeding, carbon dioxide, how to, hardscape. No, nothing about the history in there. But if you're interested in a book review, this is actually quite a good book for general fish keeping, because a lot of the things that are in here are about maintaining a healthy tank rather than just aquascaping. Obviously, it's got a bias and a focus on plants, but it talks about how to make a healthy fish tank that you can then thrive with plants in. So, very good book. So, definitely for the beginners, but for the more advanced people, I think you can find something in there as well. Right, sorry, where do we get to? Tommy Bolton says, "Evening, Graham. What's your take on new theories regarding no filters and recycling old tank water?" Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know what the new theories regarding no filters are. So there's lots of no filter tanks, which is things like heavily planted tanks, deep substrates, the fewer father fish methods, all that kind of stuff. Lucas Brett's, LR Brett's, and over in the US has lots of tanks famously unfiltered. But none of them are new theories. So they're fairly old theories of lightly stock, heavily plant. You don't need the filter. There are lots of intricacies within that of some people are big on water changes, some people never do water changes, some people are big on circulation, deep substrate, thin substrate, all kinds of connotations within that, but I just don't know about any new theories, so I don't know. Recycling old tank water. I mean, recycling, I use it in the garden. So I've got a couple of big IBC containers that I pump all my fish room tanks waste out into, and then we use it because it's really good, fertile, nitrate-rich water that you can feed your garden with and get some good growth. So that's kind of where I am, but I'm not. None of that's anything new. Where's your tankard? It's in the dishwasher. I did that stupid thing of I stuck it in the dishwasher too late. So I'm using a plain old pint glass. Have you got your tankard yet, David? I think Phil said he sent out all the... Was it you, David, that won a tankard? Phil said he sent out all the prizes earlier in the week. What was the Japanese word that was the other answer for the Iwagumi question? It was Nakatomi. And old Silver Creek got the answer to that one. I knew the leprechaun one from the film. What film? Numbers for me with dyslexia cause more issue than words when one letter hints another. Scientific names, you have a genus first name and a category it belongs to. Do you know, I spent a lot of time in Wikipedia today trying to learn about trying to do quiz questions and learning about genus and taxa and subcategories and all that. My wife is a scientist, so I might have to get her to sit down and give me the... She's a biologist, so she can give me the high school level equivalent of the quick 101 lesson in how to understand all this, because I just don't get it. My brain doesn't work that way. And then species. Yeah, exactly. None of it makes sense. Amano is overrated. There, I said it. Well, everyone's entitled to an opinion. You know what you say. I have that book. It's a good book, isn't it? What do you think of it? Amano maybe has that, but I dislike those who repeat art. So most aquascapes repeat the same things. Art is about creativity. I think there's something to be said for a style. So if you are... Right, I'm an ignorant get, so all of this needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. But if you are into art, that's a stupid thing to say, but if you are, let's say you like Salvador Dali, you can probably look at all Salvador Dali's paintings without having seen them before and go, yep, that's a Dali, that's a Dali, that's a Dali, because he's got a style. It's the same thing, but expressed slightly differently. So it's a theme. You could say this about all the different artistic movements, like Cubism and all those other things where you've got your... they're all takes on one central theme. So if you look at Takashi Amano, he defined that this is an iwagumi. I have decided this is what it is. And if you read about why it is what it is, it's... I mean, a lot of it's... You have to be taken... You have to be... you have to look at it a little bit from... Yes, you have a central stone and it's got a job, and then you have the supplementary stones, and they're taking energy and they're flowing there, and you're like, all right, it's 3 stones in a fish tank, come on. But if you're into it, just subtly placing those 3 stones in a different way I kind of get it. I kind of get it that you see a flow. So when you have 3 stones pointing in a certain way, yeah, I get that. And you can have 5 tanks all with 3 stones pointing in a different way, and one will be better than the others. I can't quite explain why, but that to me is what the art is, because that's getting it right, because it goes, I like that, that's good. That's fine, but that's really good, and I don't know why. And when you do know why, that's what makes you the artist, I guess. Repeating art for me is copying. So if you're just doing, like cloning a picture, it's like taking the Mona Lisa is the Mona Lisa. If you buy a poster of the Mona Lisa, it's still the Mona Lisa, but it's not the Mona Lisa. Does that make sense? Or am I just talking nonsense? I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what I say sometimes. It's repeating art is like these, like the guy that was a really talented artist, and he ended up going to jail for this, but he was faking loads of pictures and fooling all the auctioneers, fooling all the experts in the world, classifying his stuff as original, but he was just sat in his shed painting these things that had been lost for years and then presenting them as real. That in and of itself is an art form, but he is just cloning someone else's picture. But he's doing it as good as they were doing it and then fooling everyone. So is that still art? I don't know. Maybe it just lives in a different side of art. And with aquascaping, you have Dutch style aquascaping. That is, throw a shitload of plants into a tank, make it as colourful as possible, as rich, as full, as busy as possible, Dutch style. You might use more rotala than the next person. The next person might use more crypts down at the lower level. The next person might trim it in a certain different way. They're all the same style, and they're all repeating things people have done before, but it's their thing. And when I scape a tank, I'm doing it to make it... I think I'm doing it to make it the best that I can make it. And often when you're doing this at home, you're limited. You're limited by funds, because plants cost money and you have to pay for all these things. You're limited by time, because generally you buy plants when they're a bit smaller and you have to wait for them to grow in. So there's a whole thing about, are they going to grow the way I've imagined this in my mind? And you're limited by popularity, because lots of people have done this in the past. So are you inspired by someone, or are you copying someone? And that's an age-old thing, whether it's aquascaping or any other kind of art. It's a very difficult thing to navigate, and I think if you just use your own, I've seen people do this where they've literally got a picture of something, gone, right, I really like that, I'm going to recreate that, and they use that as a reference point and they try and do it themselves. That's more of the copying style for me. If you get a picture of something, you go, oh, I really like that, I'm going to use that, and then you put it down and you do your interpretation of that. I think that's different. Both scenarios, you're still copying this thing, but one's more, right, I like the idea of that and I'm going to create my version of it, and the other is, I'm going to create that. So that's kind of where I stand on whether it's Takeshi Amano, whether it's Vincent van Gogh, whether it's Salvador Dali. These are all people who have very recognizable traits to their work. And I don't necessarily think it's just repeating it. If they're doing it, they're not repeating it, because they're just making their own twists on their own work. If you're doing it, you're using it as inspiration, unless you're trying to copy exactly. It's a hard one to quantify, I guess. I don't know. Try new things, be different, and right now the difficult thing is minimalism. Yeah, I think there's just fashion. Sometimes minimalist designs are they're in vogue, everyone's into it, sometimes they're not. But in any field, whether it's thinking about decorating your house or whatever, there's always going to be classic things. It's always going to be a classic, clean, minimalist is always going to be a thing. And then there'll be a vogue for floral patterns one day. And the next time it'll be pastel colours. And then a few years later it'll be beige colours, avocado bathrooms, all these kind of things. They're all cyclical, but there will always be classics. I'm not a fan of the nature aquarium scene. It's like a pretentious wine tasting only with water. Yeah, I get that, and a lot of the nature aquariums. So whenever I see a nature aquarium, you're thinking, what nature? Where in the world are you seeing this habitat? A nature aquarium to me is a biotope, because you're trying to recreate something that is actually in nature. So, am I more worried that it's just mislabeled rather than egregious? Oh, you've called that nature. That's not nature. That's nonsense. You don't see that in nature. Yeah, it might just be what's in a name type of thing, because for me, nature aquariums are biotopes, because that's literally recreating nature. And I get the analogy with wine is interesting, because as much as I don't like the name Nature Aquarium, some of them are really nice. And as much as I don't like pretentious wine snobs, some wine is really nice. So that's a really good analogy. Sometimes you're like, God, I hate the idea of this, but that's cool. That's right. Oh God, I'm miles away again. Most are not nature, far from. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even the name is stupid. It is. Yeah. The biotope competition shows nature much. Exactly. As an American, I use old tank water in the garden. Quite right. I use it for, yeah, like I say, I fill a couple of IBCs, so big, massive 1,000-litre tubs at the back of the house that I pump all my water into there, and then we use that to feed the garden plants. Or house plants. I don't use it for the house plants, I must admit, but I should. Right, I'm going to try and catch up again, because we're at 1:45 and I'm miles behind. I just recently moved and started my tank over again, using the same substrate and plants, but I'm worried about the tank not being cycled properly. If you're using the same substrate, that's going to hold some of the beneficial bacteria that you would have, or you would expect to be used in your cycle and keeping your tank cycled. Most of it lives in your substrate, on your ornaments, in your filter media specifically, and as long as you keep it all fairly moist. Sorry. I don't know where I was going with that. As long as you keep it all fairly moist, the bacteria can last for days and days and days. But test. I don't know why people are afraid to test their water. I would even classify myself as a fairly experienced aquarist. I still test my water all the time. One of the things that grinds my gears is people who say, I don't need to test my water, I know what's going on in my tanks. Bollocks. No, you don't. You think you know what's going on, and then you are surprised by a problem when it comes along. There's nothing to be ashamed of testing your water just to know what's going on, especially if you've done something like a house move. If you make any major changes to your tank, that's not. Why wouldn't you test your water just to be sure? Even if you think you've got the eye that can spot nitrates at 100 yards, which is not a thing. People cannot do that. Why wouldn't you just confirm it by doing a quick water test? Sorry, I was getting a bit ranty there. So what I would do is, if you're worried about it, just test daily, see what's going on with your parameters. If things are going up or down or look a bit dodgy, do some extra water changes. But yeah, if you test it and just keep on top of things, you should be fine. You do IT, so you know another language or multiple. I'm struggling with R now and being told I need to learn Python. But even someone who's good at it struggled. See, the thing about people in IT is we perpetuate a myth that it's completely incomprehensible. 99% of people who work in IT are good at Googling. I'm just going to leave that there. I swear whatever code I need to use is more difficult than what most use. I've never used Python before. Yeah, everything's Googleable. Just put it that way. If you get stuck, reach out on Discord to... I mean, I'm not a coder, but I can code as good as most coders because I know how to Google the right things. But if you get stuck, feel free to reach out. Urban, if you're still around, I think you're a proper coder. You can probably help her out. My aquatic art isn't a repeat, it's just bad altogether. Well, that's the thing. If you don't practice these things, you never get better at them. And why... Yeah, the thing that it's... What am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of snobbery sometimes in art in general, but let's use aquascaping. Most of it in aquascaping is really quite positive. It's people trying to help each other out, people trying to give pointers, people trying to just try new things and different things. But there's a lot of snobbery as well, where it's like, oh, that's not how you do that, or oh, you've used Dragonstone again. Oh, God, Dragonstone. There's a lot to be said for art over availability. I've got a poop ton of different rocks, different bits of wood, different styles of wood. But if I want to be true to my artistic vision, I need to spend hours of my time finding the right rocks, finding the right bits of wood, and hundreds, if not thousands of pounds buying that stuff. Because if you don't have it, you have to go and buy it. And it's not cheap. So... one of the things that annoys me is, let's take this cover photo for instance. There's probably 500 quid's worth of rock in there. There's probably 500 quid's worth of plants in there. There's probably a couple hundred quid's worth of wood in there. So you're immediately into the realms of thousands of pounds to get a fairly... I mean, it's lovely. Don't get me wrong, it's lovely. But people who have hundreds of pounds as their budget to go out and try and recreate that is admirable, because you try and get that and you let it grow into something like that maybe. But you see these videos of people who are generally sponsored by someone. So you get the Tropica, if you're watching, hello, I'd like to be sponsored. It worked with Fluval, I'll try it with Tropica. They get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds worth of plants free, so they can try all these cool things, and yeah, you can make some great stuff. And I'm not taking away from the artistic value of all these people who do these things. It is fantastic, but your average Joe is worried about putting food on the table for his kids rather than spending £1,000 on plants every other week to make a new tank look good. So don't be put off by using what you have available to you in an interesting way is just as good as using what unlimited resources sponsorship from a company can give you in an interesting way. They're both good things. The father fish guy strained old tank water and put it in the aquariums. I mean, the father fish, yeah. He has a bit of a nickname of Führer fish that I find amusing, but it's my way or the highway type of thing. I mean, some of the stuff that he does is, I've got no problem with it. He has some ideas of how to run a fish room, how to run a fish tank, what makes a good fish tank, what makes a bad fish tank. Fine, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Just because you can make something work doesn't mean you should make something work. if you can use old fish tank water and put it back in the aquarium and not make it worse, great. But are you losing out on not making it better by doing that? I don't know. I'm an artist by trade, and the lowest GCSE grade I got at school was for art. Well, Chicken Fist, you and I both. I work in IT at a fairly high level, and the worst grade I got at school was for computing. I won't deny I prefer biotype tanks, but for that type of style, Amano is objectively great. He's taken a thing and done it well. And a question. With all this fishy beer, are you thinking of starting a homebrew? Oh, I've not ever thought about that. Is this kind of stuff homebrewable? Can you make it nice and thick like this? I don't know. Am I out of focus completely? Have I been out of focus for hours? Who knows? God, I'm miles away again. Right, got 8 minutes. If you've got an actual question that you want answering, type the word question and then your question, and I'll get to it. If not, I shall try and catch up quickly. Hashtag Graham Snakehead Beer. I don't know, how hard is it to do that? I've never done home brewing. I don't know. I'm not a bad artist, but some of it is knowing your limits. I can't paint flat art. Colour is beyond me. I can paint Warhammer, but that's different. Copying art to look legitimate is a skill. It definitely is a skill. I mean, I think there's all these things where art can be anything. Art can be something that you stand there and go, what? I could do that. Yeah, but you didn't. They did. Art can be, art is something that evokes a feeling in my book. I always said Van Gogh needed glasses though. Too blurry. There's an artist, who was that did, there's a couple of artists that I've been on the end of going, what is that? There's one who just does colours, and it's like, I can't remember what his name is now. It'll be like a canvas that's got red. It's just red. It's all in oils. It's red all the way down, and then there'll be a black smudge at some point. And I remember going to see this. It might have been even in the Tate Modern or something like that when we were visiting London. No, when would I have seen that? Anyway, years and years and years and years ago. And I was kind of standing looking at it quizzically, and some guy sidled up to me and he was like, do you get it? And I was going, no, not really. And he must have spoke for about 20 minutes about what this thing represented. And I was like, what, is this guy still alive? And it turned out he'd been dead, and that he'd done this in like the 1700s, and he was an unknown, and they just dug this up. I'm like, how do you know that's what he meant? Oh, well, he lived in a time where the revolution was going on, and this was happening, and the other was happening. I know, but he could have just spilled a tin of red paint and thought, oh, I've made a mistake. I'll just put that in the loft. And then left it there until he died. You found it 200 years later, and you've now read into all this that this is like a seminal piece of work. And it turned out that I was wrong. It was a thing. He had been semi-famous for doing these really bold pieces of work where it was this mostly one colour and then like a line, and it was meant to mean, but it was just lost on me completely. The same as what's the one with all the lines and triangles and everything, Kandinsky or whatever it is. We were like, he's just dropped some like building blocks and painted them. What does it mean? And just because I don't get it doesn't mean it's not art. That's the whole thing. that moves some people. I don't get it, but that doesn't mean it's not art. Same with if you don't like Takashi Amano's aquascapes, that's fine. That doesn't mean other people can't like them or that there isn't merit to them or value to them. I think it has to be a personal thing. So it might be a personal thing that's shared amongst lots and lots of people that all think the same thing of, oh yeah, I really like that, it moves me, it makes me think these things. If you're the only person that it moves, it's just as valid. I don't know. I kind of know what I'm trying to say, but who knows? Right, sorry, I was trying to get... Graham, I'd appreciate more content on discus generally. What is your maintenance schedule, food, illness management, etc.? I know you've done them previously, but still good to have updates. Thank you for the feedback. I shall try and consider that. Dr. Awesome in the house. Hello from Peru. We need to talk. We need to get you on. Hello from Peru. Can I have some discus? Yeah, quite right. Send me some discus. I don't know what the rest of the channel thinks. I'd like to get Dr. Anthony on to talk about discus and what his channel and his organisation are trying to do in general. I think that'd be good. Right, I'm going to try and catch up a little bit. Graham's going to be running beer moonshine, hidden fish food before the year's out. That'd be a good way to do it, wouldn't it? Scott claiming to be a Glaswegian. Brian's been cut off, but I like that comment. Wasn't there some twat who thought half a cow in a plastic box was art? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Art is different to different people, and that's fine. I don't think we should need to change that. I don't think we should be upset about people that don't get some things. Art to some people it's the same as music. You know, your favourite band, your favourite songs. You shouldn't be embarrassed to like what you like. It's just someone has gone to the effort of doing a thing. If you think it's crazy, that's just as valid as if you think it's great. And no one from either side should be able to tell the other person they're wrong. It just is what it is. I hate how Streamlabs deletes a lot of people's comments if they get timed out for Yes, Brian, it's nothing personal. It's Streamlabs. I keep saying this. I have no control over what Streamlabs does. I could turn it off, so we might have to do that in future. I do dislike with art qualifications. It's judges on interpretations of. That's the thing that gets me is someone reading into something like a lot of poetry, a lot of literature is judged on that scale that isn't apparent to everyone else, and you're like, well, how do we know that's what he meant? If that's what he meant to write, why didn't he write that? Why has he written this instead? Write what you mean, god damn it. Anyway, I'm just talking nonsense now and we're going off onto an art tangent. So one more time for everyone who's still here, we've got about 40 odd people. If you wouldn't mind awfully subscribing to this channel, subscribing to my second channel, which I can't find now. If I find it on Discord, will that help maybe? Here we go. If you do nothing else, go and subscribe to this channel because there'll be a few new videos coming out in it tomorrow, because I will cut up this stream, put out the quiz, put out the questions and any rants that I can think of But for now, if you pop along to, I'm sure there will be another one. I think, is he streaming tonight? I'm sure there'll be a stream from Coldwater Aquatics that'll have just started. If you pop along there and say, hello, Graham sent me from Aquarium Adventures. It's always nice to help out other channels. If you want to continue your fishy journey, you can join Discord here. Discord, that's a new way of saying Discord. Discord up here, you can join that, ask some questions, any pictures you want to share, all that good stuff. Otherwise, go and watch some videos. That helps me out immensely. And I'll leave you with that and say thank you very much everyone for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!